Everyone out there on the live stream, welcome to tonight's session. Our topic tonight is going to be giving mindfulness the attention that it deserves. So for anybody who's new to the idea of mindfulness, I'm going to explain it. But ultimately, it's to be more present, more empowered, and more peaceful in every moment of our life. So I'm going to ring the bell. We're going to line up and make our way into the temple. I invite you to make this a meditative experience. As we're entering, just think about letting everything else aside. You're entering this space of creativity and goodness for yourself. So as each one of us enters the temple, we bow. It's respecting the part of you that is wise, the part of you that is good. And just watching your mind, bringing that into a special place. And as you bow to the enlightened being, think of the great teachers, think of the love and kindness inside yourself. If I give a thought as you bow to the enlightened being, let yourself meditate on it. Knowing that you're fully free to cultivate whatever happiness or peace you put your focus onto. Open, ready for something new. Excited. Maybe it's more amazing than you thought was possible. Peaceful, gentle. Okay, so welcome everyone. We're going to start with our intention setting. I'm here to make this session as amazing as possible for me and for you. And I invite you to set that intention in yourself, to bring that oomph, that drive, that excitement, that devotion, to make each moment of this session enlightening, beautiful, inspiring, empowering. Expand your consideration, your compassion out to think of all the people in your life and to bring care and kindness and mindfulness to all of them. Or perhaps you'd even like to imagine a world where everybody is mindful, everybody is kind, and dedicate each moment of this session towards us cultivating that culture. I invite you all to just to take a few deep breaths. Bring that intention, that oomph, that focus, that power, that positive intent for yourself and for all beings. Wonderful. So welcome everybody. I'm going to try to balance tonight those of you who have got a lot of experience with mindfulness practice and those of you who are brand new. Try and introduce an understanding of mindfulness as well as deepening our practice, or more than our practice, deepening how we live mindfully. I decided to title tonight's session giving mindfulness the attention that it deserves. And it's a little pun because mindfulness is about our attention. What are we aware of? Where do we put our focus? But more than that, for those of you who have experienced mindfulness, you've probably seen many times that when you kind of step out of the busyness of your mind and just decide to be present and decide to look clearly, things become so much easier or more peaceful, or you become more patient and understanding. And when I said to give that the attention that it deserves, I really want us to cultivate tonight a love for that peace, a love for yourself when you can be choosing, when you're coming from your best place, and to give that the attention that it deserves. I hope every day spending time cultivating it, every hour checking in with yourself to boost it, every moment, every breath, shaping your state of mind mindfully, powerfully. So that's our theme for tonight, and that's my intention for tonight. I'm going to start for people who are brand new to mindfulness, or maybe newish. And if you've practiced a lot, I invite you to listen carefully and see if there's any way that I would describe it differently. Or perhaps a way I describe it that's more simple, or that's more actionable. So ultimately, mindfulness is being aware. When we're mindful of our surroundings or we're mindful of others, we're just noticing what's going on. We're noticing how others are feeling or how we talk to them. It's aware and it's kind. Mindfulness in a mindful meditation sense can also mean being aware of ourself, aware of what we're thinking, how we're thinking, what's our focus on, what we're feeling, or where we are taking our feelings. What do we believe about how our feelings work? It's noticing all of ourself. I like to also combine the idea, not just noticing, but also realizing that you can shift your focus. You can shift how you think. You can shift how you feel. In any moment, you can start to shift, and when you put yourself into a different state of mind and hold your focus there, you can get into any state of mind. So it's this awareness, but also this empowered way of being. If you're new to meditation or mindfulness and that sounded really abstract, let me give you some examples. So if I'm walking through an antique store, if I'm like really excited and dancing around, and then I notice that there are delicate things around me, I become mindful of them. I then become careful of how I walk, not to smash anything. So there's an example of being mindful of the world around us. You could also think of being mindful to enjoy the beautiful day, to stop and smell the flowers. You could think of being mindful of your surroundings at work, at school, with your family, in an art gallery. Anywhere and everywhere, we are able to notice more just by thinking about noticing more. Now, when it comes to being mindful of others, I'm sure everyone can relate. At some point you were saying something to someone and you were thinking about what you were going to say and maybe didn't even notice how the other person was receiving it, whether they were looking at you, whether they were understanding you, or how they felt. Maybe you're a very conscientious person and is often aware of others, but even then you could imagine being more mindful, really noticing how they feel, or checking in with them to see if they understood you, or inviting more engagement or more caring in the conversation. The other end of the spectrum is maybe you're in a conversation where there's some upset or some anger or some disagreement, and people can have the tendency to kind of ride that and react with more of the intensity of whatever's not nice. And then stepping into mindfulness is like, oh, wait, I can see that there are these triggers happening. I'm going to just stop. And now how do I bring what I want to bring to this person? How do I bring understanding or caring or calm or connection? So hopefully that was a clear example of being mindful of the world around us, or being mindful of others, and then being mindful of ourselves. You can probably think of many situations in your life where you're just doing something and you're not really paying that much attention. And so by paying more attention, you'll be able to enjoy it more or be more creative. Likewise, you could probably think of some time you've reacted to something. Maybe someone said something that wasn't nice to you, or something's happened that's different than what you were expecting. And I'm upset or I'm angry. And then in terms of what's going on in your mind, you're just kind of caught up in the things in your mind. Just like that conversation where the people trigger, we can do that in the conversation we're having with ourselves. And so I'm inviting you to imagine yourself that you'll always notice what your mind's doing. And the moment you see any of that happening, you just take a deep breath and you're going to ask yourself, well, what do I wish for myself? What would be helpful now? What state of mind could I be in? And many people, when they ask that question, well, they think if someone was mean to me, the only possibility is upset or anger. But I actually want to help you step out of that and be like, hey, in any moment, you could focus on anything. How would I respond in a way that makes me really peaceful? How would I respond in a way that helps that other person be more understanding or more loving? Or perhaps I even misunderstood them. How can I be wiser and bigger to try and really hear where they're coming from instead of the reaction that it triggered in me? More examples where mindfulness can help us is not even in regards to how we react to others, but just how we feel. Many people have so many different thoughts and feelings just going on in their mind that they think feelings just happen to them. But when you learn to watch closely, you can see that feelings happen because of something that arose in your mind, a thought or a memory or an attitude. And then you can see, oh, I focused on that and went into it more. Oh, and then I focused on this and I went into that feeling. You learn to see that the way your attention, your thoughts and feelings move is actually something that you have wildly more power to guide than we would have known if we hadn't paid attention. And bigger than that, I hope to inspire you with the image that you could practice being mindful, being that guide of your mind, that you're always taking yourself into beautiful peace, beautiful happiness, excitement or joy. You know, I mentioned before when if someone says something mean, people think the range of options they have is somewhere between anger and frustration. But actually, there could be peace or compassion or empowerment. And I invite you in the same way when you think about your own mind and your own range of emotions and a range of what you are capable of. When we step out of our old habits, we're able to envisage anything. I remember when I first discovered meditating on happiness. I was like, okay, cool, happiness is nice, smiles are good. Oh, I remember feeling really good. Oh wow, I'm starting to imagine feeling better than I've ever felt before, and I'd be swimming in this joy. And it got to the point where I couldn't even use the word happy anymore. The feelings I was exploring were better than any word that human culture had ever given me. And I hope to get better at coining phrases for these beautiful experiences and emotions we get to create. But yeah, I hope to inspire within all of us this idea that we can cultivate and create emotions and states of mind that are amazing, that are beyond the ideas you currently have, and you're free to explore the space of all possibilities. How happy could you be? How infinitely peaceful could you find? How strong and compassionate could you be? So when I talk about giving mindfulness the attention that it deserves, I want that always to remind us that there are profound bliss and peace and excitement and joy and love within each moment if we approach it carefully, mindfully. And so the practice each day of watching your mind and practicing being more aware and more present, it's an amazing, beautiful, powerful thing that deserves love and attention and excitement. So, that was a lot that I just shared. I just want everybody to take a few breaths, let yourself think about, internalize everything I just said. Maybe there's something nice that you'd like to share from what that makes you feel, or perhaps you have some questions about it. And if you've already got something, let yourself just feel it a little more and see how could you ask it in a way that's most awesome for you or for everybody. So I'm going to check anyone chatting on the live stream and give everyone just a moment to contemplate.
One thing that you said that I think is really important is how we are not having emotions in reaction to what has happened, but most of the time there is a thought in between or many thoughts, and I think that's where we have a lot of control and we don't realize it
Mm.
before being aware of that part of the equation.
I love that you emphasize that because I feel like I kind of skipped over that part. But definitely things happen, and then we have the way that we process it before we feel anything. You can think of some situation, any situation. Some people, they won't even notice it. Doesn't matter. Some people will get joy and happiness from that situation. Some people will be sad from that situation. Some people will be frustrated. And so the step between what happens and their reaction is not instant. It has to be the thoughts they have about the situation, the attitudes they have about the situation, the memories that it triggers. There are all these filters and steps. And as we learn to pay attention, we can transform and navigate through those steps to create ourself as someone who responds, I want to say happily, peacefully, wonderfully, but really you can choose whatever you want. You can create yourself as someone who responds in the best way that you can imagine. And I love that you pointed out that there is this space in between reaction. There's stimulus, response, reaction. And the response we have, the thoughts we have, the attitudes we have, there's so much space in there for thinking about it differently, for practicing different feelings, for practicing mindfulness just to stop the reaction and then choose. There's so many ways that we can be more aware and more empowered. So yeah, thanks for bringing attention to that, Lana. So I can see there's quite a few people watching the live stream. If you write in the chat, I should see the things pretty regularly. I hope to check regularly what's being said, and I'll hope to engage with you guys. Now, as for everybody here, I would love to hear from what I was saying about mindfulness, about cultivating awareness, however you'd like to respond. Any ways it inspired you, or any questions you have about the idea, or any questions you have about how do you actually do that? How do you practice it? Sudo?
I really liked what you said about reacting to things. You know, in today's society, people are reacting to the news or they're reacting to something their friends did on social media. You know, a lot of what's wrong with society and divisions in society is because of a lack of awareness of, you know, just being a nice person to each other and more about reacting immediately to something. I like what you said about that.
I would like to ask everybody to just take a few breaths and feel within yourself you as being a nice person. There's lots of ways you're already nice, especially when it's easy, to people you care about or the people who are fun. And just feel it and enjoy it. Maybe let the niceness feel even better. And then, still focusing on how nice it feels to be nice, I invite you to think of some places where you could be nicer. And imagine how nice it would feel if being kind, being warm, being thoughtful was just a bigger part of you in those situations. I know when I remember times when I was not nice, it felt not nice. Being nice feels so much nicer. So just imagine yourself being nice all the time. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, but I don't want to be a pushover. There's times I have to stand up for things. So yeah, imagine being really nice and really strong. What's it like to stand up for something important or good in a way that's really lovely? It's really inviting. Breathe into that kindness, that warmth inside yourself. Now, for some of you who've meditated a lot, I hope that that was in a nice experience. You dove into it and you felt it and you imagined it. For some of you who are new to meditation, it might have also been really nice. And for some of you, you may have not really followed what I was saying. And that's okay. Part of learning to be mindful is learning how to dive in to these positive practices. How to step out of the other things your mind is doing and really guide your attention and your focus into what's really helpful. So if that was really nice for you, I hope you take a moment to appreciate how lucky you are that you've practiced being able to guide your mind and cultivate good things. And if it wasn't, I invite you just to be excited or to imagine, wow, there's a skill I can learn where I'm able to guide myself into new feelings and really imagine and practice stuff that transforms me. I think one of my major goals in these sessions is to help every person be really good at that. This ability to transform ourselves. For you to pick how you want to be, to envisage it really clearly, and to become it. I want you to be the empowered master of yourself. For your true self, the part that you would choose to be that, what that is who you are. Any old habits, old feelings, they just fade away. That's really one of my core goals in these sessions, is to empower you. So even if you're already good at meditating and the nice meditation was nice, I want you to imagine that you get even better at that. And when I talk about sharing kindness, you dive into infinite compassion. You imagine yourself as the embodiment of universal understanding and kindness. The scope in which our creativity and how powerfully we can feel things and how deeply we can focus on it, it's infinite. And yeah, Sudu, thanks for your comment. That was a really nice experience for me.
Can never go wrong with kindness, that's for sure.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share or comment or ask?
I thought I'd mention something. Whenever I'm going for a walk on the trails beyond my house here, I like to practice a combination of mindfulness, meditation, and walking. And when I pass other people and give a little salute to them or say hi, I try to think in my mind. I say, mindfully, I'm about to greet this person. Mindfully, this person appears as such and such. And I find it seems to help me in the dream world too. When I'm lucid dreaming, I notice I have more control of myself in the dream world, and I'm more skillful in my dreams and in my subconscious mind when I take this practice in daily life and acknowledge things as I see them, where I say, oh, I greeted that person mindfully. This is points for me. I'm building up the golden body that the Chinese were so interested in, with the secrets of the golden body. But using that kindness, that metta, to greet people and be mindful of it as I go on my walk.
That's beautiful. Can we all just take a moment to imagine what that feels like to just connect with awareness and kindness with every person you greet? Imagine if everyone in the world did that. Just how nice the world would be. So I invite you to take a few deep breaths and feel that even more beautifully in yourself. Imagine if you were leveling up or transforming, that for the rest of your life, every time you see someone or interact with someone, you're going to feel more wonderful. You're going to make them feel more wonderful. You're going to bring this awareness into the interaction. Now, you also mentioned something that's quite fun, interesting, that in your dreams, because you practice mindfulness, you become more aware of your dreams, and so you're able to create better adventures. That's a great little side bonus that a lot of mindfulness meditators experience.
Yes, it's better for that mindfulness, not just for better dreams, but also in case they're bad dreams or anxiety dreams. I'm more quickly able to say, oh, I'm in dreaming reality, and become mindful of where I am and take control so it doesn't get out of control.
So I actually want to run with this idea. You've got like more awareness of your subconscious. And this idea isn't just helpful for our dreams. In our day-to-day life, things can happen, and then we kind of get in this inner nightmare. We start being scared or worried about it. And we might be thinking about things and trying to go about our life, but our subconscious could be worrying. And so when we practice mindfulness, it's not just our conscious mind that learns to be more aware, but our subconscious. You'll find that you automatically snap out of worries more or wake up from them. And also, we're able to consciously notice things we wouldn't have noticed before. We watch our consciousness more carefully, and where it would have just been like a rush of kind of thoughts and kind of feelings, you're able to see what's going on in your experience and amplify the good things and let go or transform the not good things. So yeah, I think that dream example is really great, that just by practicing and bringing our attention to mindfulness a lot, it has all these extra benefits that happen. Does anyone else have a nice thing they'd like to share, or perhaps a question you'd like to ask? Oh, Creek has joined us on the live chat, and he's just said, "Love you all, my friends." Can we all take 3 breaths to just meditate on receiving Creek's love? Love you too. And for those people who are on the live stream or who are new here, Creek is one of our regulars and one of our teachers. So it's not just some random love, which is nice to receive, but he spent a lot of time with the community and caring for the people here. So thank you, Creek. It's great to have your presence. So yeah, any other thoughts or questions or comments? Especially if there's someone who's newer and you think, oh, it's a beginner question, or how do I relate it to this? It's kind of my own thing. I definitely want to hear those questions, because making this real, applying it, that's why this is important. I wish I could read everybody's minds to know what you're thinking right now. Can someone be brave enough just to tell me whatever is going through your mind?
I thought I'd comment on one more thing. Oh, but go ahead.
Both of you are keen. All right, Suda, you want to go first? Then we'll come back to you, Solarpunk. And everybody else, I want you to try and find the things that you'd like to share or ask while we're talking about this. Sudu?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on, even experienced meditators struggle with this, is that we try to make things a certain way in our lives, in our meditation, in our practice in general. We try to use, our ego wants us to make things a certain way rather than just letting them be. So I just wanted to comment on that that can cause friction. It can, cause us to experience more suffering to try to force things to be a certain way. Sometimes we just have to kind of abide with them, be aware of them. It's kind of like a general thing, can be applied to many things, and maybe that's too abstract, but
I'm going to run with that idea because I actually think it's great. And as I talk about cultivating wonderful things, I really should get better at emphasizing that it has to be based on acceptance. Let me give you a little story. Now imagine 2 athletes. One athlete, as they're playing, they're enjoying themselves, and whenever they notice something that could improve, they just lovingly think to themselves, oh, there's something for me to train. I'm going to practice that being better. And then imagine another athlete. Whenever they see something that's not good enough, they judge themselves and say, oh, I should have been better at that. Now, I would advocate for all of us to aim to be the first kind of athlete that is just wanting to train yourself, to help yourself, to love yourself. To step back from that, I think one of the most beautiful insights I've ever had is when I realized that everything about me, it wasn't who I am. It was because of things that had happened to me. It was words that were said to me. It was stuff that had got stuck in my mind and I'd repeated. It was the way people had treated me. They'd all come together to shape me through my life. And many of the ways I was mean to myself or not good at things, that had happened because of things that people had said to me. or because of me not practicing certain things, or even practicing being bad at things. And when I had this insight that everything was because of stuff from the past, it then let me have this feeling of completely accepting, okay, well, that's what I was. And now, all I want to do is just be mindful and guide and help myself to where I want to go. I also invite you all to have that same thing for yourself. Completely accept all the past thoughts, past feelings. Completely accept that from causes, from conditions, from things that have happened to you, that's where it's all come from. In one sense, it's the only thing that makes sense to me now that I've seen it, is to accept that how we are is because of stuff. And then what's left after that is just to love and nurture and guide ourselves. And I also invite you to try and do the same mental leap, jump, transformation when you think of everybody else. Everyone is where they're at because of their life experiences, because of things that helped them as a kid, because of things that hurt them as a kid, because of something that got stuck in their head on one particular day that they just kept saying and then it shaped how they felt, because of something that empowered them and they kept coming back to that and they got better and better at that, because of something that upset them and then that shaped how they thought and how they were. And so when we look at everybody, I hope we can see everybody mindfully, to understand that everyone is just this whole pattern of strengths and weaknesses, peace and pain, wisdom and confusion. So rather than like seeing them as someone to judge or react to, there's a being inside there that is just caught up in all of those causes and conditions. And so I hope from that acceptance, to me, when I think of it through that lens, all that I have is love and care for anyone, everyone. And no matter where they're at, or no matter what they're going from or going through, all I want to do is see how can I make their journey better? How can I help? So Sudu, thanks for the inspirational thought. I hope you liked my response. And
I did. Very good.
when people aim high, there can be this tendency to then expect high and to judge. And so you'll see in some spiritual movements, we don't want to have that judgment. We don't want to have those expectations, 100%. But what I'm trying to invite is to have that envisagement, have that inspiration without judgment or expectation. Just like a sports person who wants to be great, so they imagine being great and they train and they try, but they're loving and kind to themselves. I hope you take that same approach to yourself in every regard, to your meditation, to the sports you play, to the relationships you have, to your work, to your art. Every aspect of your life, if you put in the creativity and time you could be great. In some level of great. And some of us will thrive in some areas more easily. Some of us will struggle in some areas. And so to have that patience and loving kindness to yourself, to be excited about your possibilities, but know that time is limited. Our bodies take time to learn and change. There'll be more different thoughts going on than we thought. Be kind and patient to yourself. But on the other hand, if you imagine enlightenment, an epic change, and you spend time practicing it, you may be surprised how beautiful the feelings and states of mind you create. You may be surprised how that filters through and transforms so many parts of you in ways you weren't expecting. If you imagine yourself as being infinitely compassionate, you may surprise yourself how beautiful it can feel and how much that transforms anger or negative reactions. And when you find something that still pushes a button, you look at that button and you'll be like, there's a button that I want to put some love into and change how that button makes me react. So I hope that was helpful and acceptable, Sudu. And I actually, as I said that thing about completely accepting ourselves or completely accepting others, it gives me a real deep feeling of warmth. You know, I've had that insight many times, but to say it again, I feel it more beautifully right now. So I hope I gave you a similar experience, or at least a glimpse of it. And it's something that we keep thinking about, just really accepting ourselves and others. Then that just leaves us with love and help and nurturing. And not just accepting as the idea of accepting, but that understanding. Everyone's come through their life experiences to where they're at. There's this person inside of a whole life experience, wrapped up in causes and conditions. Some of you may relate to the idea of there's a person that could be an enlightened being who's wrapped up in causes and conditions, and as you look into them, you see that enlightened being. All you've got is that love to try and liberate them. And likewise, I hope you see yourself in the same way. And that you give mindfulness the practice, the attention that it deserves every day, every moment. Solarpunk, you had something you wanted to share?
Yes, I thought I'd bring it up, and this sort of builds off of Soto's point a little bit, I think. I've been dealing with anxiety throughout the past. Thankfully, it's a lot less of it at this point, but I have the situation where there's actually a blood flow situation with the temporals of my brain that the doctors were able to find with a scan, and the blood's not flowing to a certain area, which causes a lot of short temper and anxiety and other issues. And thankfully I've got a really great doctor who's helping me with this, and I believe I might be able to finally reverse that. And I'm also taking a wonderful supplement that's also helping ease out anxiety. But in the meantime, there's a crushing amount of social anxiety when I'd be out in public. And just walking down those same trails I was talking about, when I'd be approaching people, my anxiety level would be raising. I'd feel like a paranoid, guard dog on guard. And so I found just by going into that equanimous place, even if I couldn't bring loving kindness, compassion, sort of metta to my mind, I would at least become mindful in an equanimous, calm, neutral sort of way and tell myself, I'm about to approach this person. I'm approaching this person, and now I'm going to mindfully greet this person. And when I am in that mindful space, the anxiety just melts away. It just all goes away as long as I'm mindful. And I found that was really helpful, especially for when I didn't have doctors who were able to help me with my anxiety issues and this, working on the current situation. And other things like sensitivity to caffeine for some reason that just randomly showed up, and that caused a lot of anxiety as well. So once again, I would just deal with this mindfully, or I'd even give a form to the anxiety. I'd just say, okay, here's my little anxiety bunny. Let's see, what level anxiety are you at right now? Is this a 5? Are you going down to a 4? But most importantly, it was that mindfulness, that as long as I'm mindful, a lot of the anxiety just melts away to nothing. It's really interesting.
Firstly, thanks for sharing such a personal story. And I think a lot of people suffer with some form of anxiety at some point or another. And I find it so beautiful that you shared that. Perhaps blood flow to the brain is another level of anxiety than many would experience. And I think it's great that you shared that even in that time of hardship, you have applied this awareness in ways that have been really wonderful for you. And I want to emphasize that for people, if you're ever going through a hard time, Solar Punk created a anxiety bunny. So rather than just being in the anxiety, he saw it and was able to see it, not being caught up in it. And then by kind of freeing himself, he had this mindfulness. And then he has the idea that in mindfulness, all the anxiety just melts away. And yeah, I wish the same for everybody. That a few breaths, stepping out of what's going on, you've got this peace and this stillness that's just always there. And sometimes in the peace and stillness, you could create love and kindness. And sometimes, at least, you were just peaceful. Social anxiety's never fun. And so peacefulness to me sounds vastly better than some social anxiety. And many people find that in the peacefulness, it's then much easier to then cultivate love, or in another situation to cultivate excitement, or to cultivate confidence, or to cultivate happiness. So yeah, having this peace is like a foundation that is strong, this blank canvas that we are able to draw anything upon. Solarpunk, I hope my response did justice to your story. And thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, it always does.
I think my response was mostly for others. Is there anything you'd like me to say to you in response to your story?
For me, it's just overcoming these obstacles, and I'm just so thankful that I've discovered these techniques, that I've encountered a forest monastery with Theravada monks where I first learned some of these techniques, and that it really does work. The more you practice, whether you're a lucid dream master or whether you're trying to deal with anxieties or just have more control over life, it's just really rewarding. It's really nice to feel that.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do next is talk about these practices. So hearing the idea that you can step into peace and everything becomes still, if you hear that idea enough times, it will become a part of how you think and how you are. But there are active practices we can do to get better at it. I want to go back to the soccer story, for the sports person story. So I've found as I go and play with different teams, if I go to a place where everyone's very skillful, I find myself just automatically becoming a lot more skillful. And if I go where everyone's just taking it easy, I've often find that's kind of the level that my body expresses. I can intentionally focus and kind of strongly bring the best out of myself, but there is this kind of automaticness to kind of match what's around us. Have people noticed that? Can people wave if you've seen that? Maybe in sports,
Definitely.
but maybe you've also noticed it being around happy groups makes you happier, or being around chill groups makes you more chill, or being around angry or sad groups. So we've probably noticed that our mind kind of naturally reflects what's around us. And I mention that because talking about peace and mindfulness and being around people where they say, hey, I can step into this peace where every anxiety just melts away, being exposed to that just naturally makes it part of you. The more you come here, the more you will become a peaceful person. And if you don't want to be too chill, but you want to be more empowered, great. Come here and talk about and practice being empowered. I want this group to bring out all kinds of awesome from us. Now, if you go to a sports team and you're playing with people, and you'll pick up what's around you, but you can also intentionally practice. I remember I'd been playing soccer for a couple of decades, and then one time I was out with my university team, and I noticed that the foot skills of a lot of people in the field just far surpassed mine. So I grabbed a ball one practice, and I spent an hour just stepping over the ball and rolling it around and just moving it around in different ways, just kind of jumping over it and spinning it. And an hour into that, the wild improvements in my ability to just manipulate where the ball went was unbelievable. And from that one night, ever since, I've now got this set of skills. I can play in a way and the ball follows me instead of the awkward kind of kicking and stumbling that I was before that. So intentional practice is an amazing thing. And I hope many of you can think of some time in your life where you've practiced something. Often we practice things a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, and we get better and better slowly. But I also hope you've had some time where you're like, hey, I'm going to level up on this thing, and you practice a lot and you can see yourself improve. It's an amazing thing to watch how little improvements just build on each other until you're doing things that seemed impossible a little while earlier. And so what is practice when it comes to mindfulness? Some of you already know some answers. But even if you have been exposed to many practices, there are more. And if you haven't seen any mindfulness practices, I'm about to share some. So right now I'm just asking myself which would be the fun or inviting ones to start with. I just want everybody to notice, what are you focusing on right now? And for some of you, that was awkwardly long. You're like, oh, what's going to happen next? For some of you, you noticed you were thinking about what I was saying, and then you noticed you thought of something else. Some of you noticed that when you became aware of your attention, you stepped into a stillness because you've practiced being still when you're aware. So that was it. That was the first practice I wanted to share you. Just by noticing your mind, noticing where your attention is, we become more aware of it. And as we practice that, we master it. Put your attention on your toes. Put your attention on your fingers. Put your attention on your nose. Put your attention on a relaxing breath. Now, you can see that when you learn to guide your attention. Some of you may have been surprised that that relaxing breath felt extra relaxing. And you can imagine if you really mastered that, like throughout the day, making beautifully relaxing breaths, or a breath of infinite tranquility and equanimity. And every time you check in with yourself, hey, where's my attention right now? What am I thinking right now? You become more of the master of where's my attention. Instead of the attention just responding and reacting and triggering, you get to steer it. You get to guide it. So check in with yourself again. Where's your attention right now? What does it feel like to be you right now? Are you thinking in words? Are you looking around? Are you thinking of the other people? Are you remembering the ideas from this session? Are you remembering some other thing? Just notice your mind. And then bring your attention onto your nose and just feel a slow, peaceful breath. So you could imagine this question that you ask yourself, hey, where's my attention? It's just something you could remind yourself to do throughout the day. And every time you do, you kind of snap out of what was going on and step into this peace. One way I like to think of it is, if you have a lot of things happening in the day, it's kind of all this stuff happening in the mind. And there's juggling a bunch of things, and you're still maybe reacting to something someone said an hour ago in just a little way. you've got to do this thing, and I've got to remember I got to do that thing. It's like this busyness in the mind. But when you just intentionally take a peaceful breath, you let all that settle, and from that spaciousness, you've got more attention, more of yourself to be present with what you're going to do, or just to be present with yourself, to cultivate the feelings that you want, to cultivate the state of mind that you want. Now, like I said before, being exposed to ideas enough times, they rub off on you. This is why I'm saying it again and again. Stop and notice how you feel. Stop and notice where your attention is. But you can actively make this better. Perhaps you want to decide that every hour you'll stop and notice. Or every time you remember to breathe, you'll stop and notice. Or maybe you could create some of your own things, perhaps at the start of a meal, or perhaps whenever you walk through a door. I'll give you all just a moment to think, hey, what are some ways I can remind myself to check in? Perhaps as Solar Punk suggested, as you see anyone approach or before any conversation starts. And I also invite you to imagine, if you practice this, if you were just aware all the time. If you were this strong, peaceful, powerful presence, always choosing what would be the most epic way to feel right now. What would be the wisest, most beautiful way to be right now? And just always carrying that awareness. How that would feel. And some of you are feeling that and imagining it, and so you're cultivating it. And I hope for the others, it's an idea that's inviting and exciting and something that you could get to. Something that you know that as you practice each moment of awareness, it's stepping towards this greater, more empowered awareness. Okay, so there was two examples. One is just being exposed to these nice ideas, that we can be this peace where everything else just melts away, that we can be empowered, that hey, there's this understanding inside me. All the positive ideas you've heard, they rub off on you. The more you spend time with people who care about positive states of mind, the more it rubs off on you. So there's my first practice. Reading about it, listening to positive songs or really intentional positive media. So immersing your mind in positive ways of being, it rubs off on you. And then we also had this little short practice of just checking in. Where's my attention? What am I focusing on? And trying to do that as often as we can. And you'll also notice you'll get to a point where it's not just, oh, I'm looking at the wall, but oh, I'm looking at the textures of the wall, and that one part could make me feel meh, and that part could make me feel wow. I'm going to focus more on the wow. So you get to see more of the nuances of how you see things, or the nuances of how you respond to things. You'll notice more how you navigate through your reactions. Or you'll notice, oh, this feeling comes from that reaction I just saw. Oh, I'm going to change that. Wow, imagine if this whole part of my life now, I responded with, So every time you check in, there's more and more chances to release something that doesn't help serve you and create something that makes your life amazing. So I talked about being exposed to lots of positive ideas, having this practice to just stop and notice. Now I want to give us a third practice. Some people call it mindfulness meditation. Some people call it single-pointed awareness. So similar to how I said a sports person can practice a skill and train it in, I spent that hour practicing foot dribbling with playing soccer. We can do a similar thing with our mind. So I did just ask people, just check in now. Where are you focusing? What's your mind doing? There's a practice we can do around that really trains this ability of being aware in each moment. And it really deepens the inner peace, the inner tranquility. So I'm going to guide a mindfulness meditation. And there are many forms of mindfulness meditation, and they all have slightly different effects or effectivenesses. So if you've practiced before, I invite you to try and follow what I'm saying. Just give this one a try. And if you're new to mindfulness meditation, I also invite you, just try to really follow what I'm saying. Some of the ideas might just wash over you. That's okay. So the practice we're going to do is really watching our mind and holding our attention on a single point. Now the point of that is it's great to learn to concentrate. You're welcome to come and join us for a meditation if you like. It's great to learn to see your mind. If you're focusing on just your breath and then you notice your imagination's doing something, oh, let me imagine my breath, see the air coming in and out. And then I start thinking some words. Oh, okay, cool. I'm noticing that the thinking part of my mind's doing something. Okay, now let me think the sound of my breath. Oh, now I'm noticing where my body's contacting the seat beneath me. Okay, cool. I'm noticing my mind went there. All right, but now I'm going to come back to the breath. I'm going to feel where the air's touching my nose. This single point, this simple little spot, it makes it really easy to notice anything else the mind is doing. So I started by mentioning that it helps us notice, because that is definitely one of the things that comes from the practice. And as you see different parts of your mind, as soon as you notice it, You just find, how do I come back to the breath? How do I imagine that whole part of me also being still? Oh wow, now there's a whole part of me that's also still. More and more of me is stillness. And people find, after they practice for a while, they can get into this place where they feel amazing peace. It's like a stillness, a calm, a presence that's bigger than anything they've ever felt before. Some people find that they slip into that state very soon in meditation. They're guided into it and they're just experiencing it. Some people find that it happens after some time. We mentioned before that practicing mindfulness, practicing being aware, can then make you more aware in your dreams, more aware of your subconscious. There are all these extra benefits that come from breathing meditation. So really, what I invite you to do is to just keep focusing on the breath. That's the focus. You're just learning to really watch your mind, every part of your mind. And if you happen to find profound peace, or to feel this enormous, unshakable presence, great. It's a nice icing on the cake. Some of you may find that you've calmed the mind down a little, and so instead of noticing a thought after you're into the sentence, you might notice as you're putting the thought together. So you start to see how thoughts get constructed. And as you look at those parts of your mind, you can bring that peace. So by this single pointed meditation, trying to instantly come into this single point, it helps us to watch everything more closely. So I invite everybody. I just adjusted my body and stood up in VR and then sat down while looking straight ahead so that I'm definitely sitting up straight. So I invite everyone just to check your spine, check your head, check your legs. I notice somebody stretching their head. That's nice. You might want to stretch your shoulders. And then stretch your spine up. And I invite everyone to close your eyes and bring your attention to your nose and just feel the breath coming in. Notice how you feel now. Notice what your state of mind is like now. And imagine your whole state of mind just becoming immersed in the breath. You're feeling the breath. You're hearing the breath. You're seeing the air flow in and out. As you join into the meditation, each breath you take, you're experiencing it more vividly. So with the eyes closed, hearing the breath and feeling the breath, we're going to really create that single pointed focus. Notice if your mind is somewhere else and decide to bring it into your nose. Feel that single point where the breath comes. Maybe you feel it into the lungs, or you feel just generally around the nose. But I invite you to find that single spot where you most notice the breath moving in and out of the nose. And as the mind becomes stiller, the body becomes more peaceful, the mind becomes still, the body becomes still. You could imagine if you were trying to show off in your meditation, your posture becoming this powerful meditation posture, every muscle becoming perfect peace, and then completely forgetting about everything else, everyone else. All that's left is just focusing on the breath coming in and out of the nose. If you notice yourself thinking any words, I invite you to just think the sound of the breath. Actively immersing your mind in feeling the breath, that single point, hearing it, feeling it, seeing it. If you've meditated a lot, you can let my voice just drift away as you go deeper and deeper. If you're new to meditation, you may notice these little moments of stillness and just try to come back fully into the breath again and again and again. Hold yourself in that breath a little longer. And a little longer. And a little longer. Your consciousness is such an amazing thing, but just for now, bringing everything into just this present moment, that single point of breath. You could imagine if you were practicing that every moment of your life you had this beautiful awareness. Each moment of the breath now, you're cultivating awareness forever. And then check in. Where's your attention now? What's your state of mind now? Then back into the breath. Let that whole part of you be peace. Letting all the causes and conditions, let every part of you just be still, leaving just pure consciousness. Just that part of you that's pure awareness, perfect freedom, perfect love. Just for a few minutes more, dedicate yourself at the start of every breath to be fully present for the whole of the breath. Notice your awareness right now, and then go back into just the breathing. Everything else is still. Deeper and deeper into stillness. And then for the last couple minutes of the meditation, we're going to shift from a mindfulness meditation into a kindness meditation. Just remembering how good it feels when you're kind, when you're warm and caring. For some of you, that's beautiful. If there's a lot of not warmth or kindness into your world, try to remember where you are warm or caring. Maybe the places where it's so easy you take it for granted. Perhaps to a parent, or perhaps to your best friend. And then you could imagine if you were to mindfully bring kindness, strong warmth, bring it into every conversation. Just 2 minutes of kindness meditation. Let yourself smile. Let yourself imagine giving smiles to others. Let yourself remember kind tones of voice and practice how they feel. Imagine having perfect understanding every part of yourself. All that's left is love, warmth, and nurturing. Imagine having perfect understanding for others, knowing they all have their story, the things that happen to them, the things that shape them. Perfect understanding for all beings. So perfect compassion, love and nurturing for all beings. Imagine how beautiful that feels. You may like to put your hands on your heart or a smile on your face as you practice being that love. Now you can imagine everyone in the temple and the times of awareness they had in this meditation. Maybe the peaceful, profound feelings some people found. And you can wish for all of them to be more aware, to be more free, to feel loved, cared for and nurtured. You could imagine the 4 people currently with us on the live stream, wherever they are around the world, wishing that greater awareness, peace and love for them. Maybe you could imagine anyone who ever watches this video, everyone they share it with, having peace, presence and love. And just wishing for everybody, for the whole world, to be free, to be aware, to cultivate this peace and this kindness. Take a few stronger breaths and fill yourself up with positivity. Imagine being the master of your own consciousness, filled with love. And when you're ready, we're going to look around the temple and just send that love and that positive intention to everybody here. I'm going to try and make eye contact with every one of you. Just really feel that love I have for you, that positive wish I have for you. And I invite you to try and do the same. Just that connection of awesomeness that we shared, that well-wishing you have for each other. That hope for epic transformations, profound insights that transform so much, for beautiful peace and ease. Feel the positive wishes you have for the other people as you see them. Receive the positive wishes for yourself. Know that you're cherished. That people think you're special. Even if we haven't really spent much time together, that people care about you. And for the last part of this practice, just take a few more deep breaths and think about a world where everybody is full of this awareness and care. I just want to tie a ribbon around today's gift. We talked a lot about awareness and positivity, being mindful, cherishing how beautiful it can be to be aware and be careful and be creative in each moment. Then we talked about 3 ways to practice that. Immersing yourself in positive ideas, having these conversations, sharing the ideas with other people so you feel it more, and that you grow it together. Come here, contemplate these ideas, talk about them, create your own ideas of how you could be better and talk about them and imagine them. Just keep thinking of them. Focus on the people who have beautiful states of mind and let it rub off on you. So there's one practice. The second practice was just to check in. Where's your attention right now? What am I thinking right now? Where's my focus right now? Take a deep, peaceful breath. Be present and free. And so you could imagine just checking in every hour or every time you walk through a door frame, or at the start of each meal, or before each conversation. You could imagine that you've practiced so much of checking in that you always have this extra awareness and power. Or even to be fully free and empowered in every moment. But every time you check in, you're just practicing that more empowered. And then the third practice we looked at was the mindfulness meditation. We just watched our breath, and I hope many of you noticed how much you could see of your mind. And every time you noticed and you came back to your breath, you're more the master of your consciousness. And many of you may also notice that you got to feel a beautiful peace. Or the kindness meditation we did at the end might have felt extra beautiful. So spending time in meditation, training the mind, is this amazing thing that we can do. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to wrap up our session with a little dedication and a thought. And then for everybody here, we're going to go out into the field. If there's anything we want to share or questions, we're just going to open up into social time. So we're going to finish with a little dedication that the time that we just practiced, may we keep practicing kindness. May we fill each moment with awareness and kindness. If we have tools that help us, let's make them even more beautiful. When we think about mindfulness and attention, let's give it all the love and attention that it deserves. Every moment where we bring more peace or more joy changes your future, and it changes your life, and it changes the lives of people around you, and it changes the universe. Every moment of mindfulness is so beautiful. Let's give it all the love and attention it deserves. Just bring ourselves into these free, beautiful moments as often as we can. So as we leave, and you have a moment with the enlightened being, I will invite you to find that part of you in every moment that can be perfect peace, perfect joy, that completely understands where you put your attention shapes who you are, and so chooses to create and be powerful and big and loving and wonderful. So have that beautiful moment with the enlightened being. And then as you walk through the doorway and bow to everybody outside, just have a moment to check in with your mind and to feel the love and well wishes from everybody. Now everyone, the live stream camera's just inside the doorway, so I invite us all to crowd in, and we're just going to give a bow to everybody for now and for all time. So come in close. We can come in quite a lot closer. Yeah, everyone in around me. Now think of everyone in the world. If everybody was watching this moment, how much you'd wish awareness and peace and love for everybody. And just send that love to all of them. Thank you for joining us. We wish you love and peace. Please share this with others. Please come and join us in the temple. Please keep attending. We love to have you here.